Imagine that you're rendering a high-resolution scene on your machine and you have a deadline tomorrow morning. Every single minute counts, but you have a sudden power outage and your rendering is lost. Vray 6 for Rhino is here. We have some amazing features in this newest release, and today I'm going to show you my top favorite ones. Number 5 on our list is Procedural Clouds feature. Now we can create our own procedural clouds in Vray using just a couple of sliders. We don't need to search anymore through dozens of H0 images that have the exact cloud shadow that you really need for our scene. This feature is a part of Sky Map. So, in order to create the clouds, we need to first add a Sky Map either to our environment slot or to use it with Vray Sun or Vray Dome Light. Once we added the Sky Map and clicked on it, we will see the new clouds sub-menu appear at the bottom. This is where we can control the creation of our clouds, but before we get into it, just make sure that you select the type of sky that you want to have together with the Vray Sun. When you open the Sky Map, you will find the clouds near the bottom. We need to enable this option in order to play with the distribution of the clouds. All of the sliders below are self-explanatory. We have density slider, the higher the number, the denser the clouds. Then we have variety slider that allows us to have more randomness when it comes to the shape and size of our clouds. Other sliders below are responsible for movement, height, and thickness. All very useful in creating unique sky and clouds. We also have the possibility to turn on ground shadows, which would enable us to see the shade that clouds are casting. But it is recommended to use a dome light with a sky texture for the best results and high quality shadows. The last few options are part of dynamic cloud setting, which allows us to have automatic cloud formation, which is based on the current time of the day and it's never the same. This can be particularly interesting if you're creating some sort of animation where the clouds won't be static and will change with time. The next feature is connected to Vray Dome Light, and it is called Finite Dome. This is an additional feature of a regular dome light that we can use with any kind of sky texture or an HDRI image. So previously, when we used Vray Dome Light, we could position it anywhere in our model, even somewhere in the background, and the way that HDRI image was projected was always the same, which means that the position of where we placed the Vray Dome Light didn't really matter. Now, once we enable Finite Dome, we have the ability to control this projection. This means that now if you move Vray Dome Light, its effects will be moving as well, which means that now we need to pay attention where we are placing our Vray Dome Light in the scene. We can use Finite Dome to have much finer control of our background of our scene, but also look and feel of it. We can modify the radius of the projection and the projection height, which helps us to position backdrop images perfectly and align the scale with our model. Vray Enmesh is number 3 new feature on our list, and let me tell you, this is a special one. With Vray Enmesh, we can create thousands of polygons in our scenes without actually modeling this geometry and spending our valuable hardware resources. This is a modifier that populates a given surface with selected objects as a pattern that we can control based on UVW mapping of a surface. You can think about this as a box morph definition in Grasshopper, but in order to render the scene, we don't have to bake it first in Rhino or use Vray for Grasshopper. All we need to do is choose the surface we want to populate, give it Enmesh modifier, and the last step is to choose a single or multiple objects that we want to populate our surface with. What this feature allows us to do is save a lot of time in RAM memory, since we're not actually generating geometry and making more polygons. Instead, all of the changes will be visible only in Vray frame buffer once we press render scene. Please note that at the time of this recording, Vray Enmesh is supported on Vray CPU, Chaos Cloud Rendering, and Vray Standalone. And Vray Enmesh is not compatible with render time created geometry like displacement, fur, and scatter. That would be too much, but maybe in the future we'll have all of these capabilities as well. The number 2 feature on our list is definitely the ability to pause and resume your renders. This is so huge and something I wish we had a long time ago in Vray for Rhino. So imagine that you're rendering a high-resolution scene on your machine and you have a deadline tomorrow morning. Every single minute counts, but you have a sudden power outage and your rendering is lost. With Resumable Renderings feature, this is not going to be an issue anymore because you'll be able to continue rendering your scene from where you left off once the power comes back. To be honest, this is a lifesaver in certain situations. Resumable renders are possible with both bucket and progressive image sampling modes. The way it works is quite simple. There are some additional files which are being created in your temporary folder, and these files are actually storing or saving all the data for your render up to that point. So, if you suddenly interrupt the rendering or pause it, you'll be able to resume it with no problems without rendering the image from scratch. It is possible to stop the render and resume it on another machine or location. You just need to make sure to copy these additional files with the rest of your project, and Vray can pick up where the render left off. How cool is that? Now, when it comes to the workflow with resumable renders, in order to activate this feature, we need to set the output file path first. If this is not set up correctly, resumable renders will not work. Once this is done, then we can activate this option from Settings, Render Output, and click there on Resumable Rendering. It is highly recommended to enable the autosave interval by setting it higher than 0. This saves partial files that can be used and help prevent losing the render progress if Rhino crashes. There is one thing you need to be extra careful about. When you have a render that you'd like to resume, don't change the render settings like the output resolution or render elements, because this would cause errors and the render would not continue. Easily, our favorite feature in Vray 6 for Rhino is Vray and Enscape compatibility. This is one of those features that I was hoping to see once I heard that Chaos Group will merge with Enscape as a single company, and now it is here. What does this mean for us? Well, we can now combine the power of both tools. For example, once I first started using Enscape, I really liked their model library, which was so versatile and easy to use. At the same time, Enscape had this cool out-of-the-box mode, which meant that every scene would look decent if you just test it out on Enscape. I think that's what led Enscape to its success it has today. It was very easy to see the project in real time, walk around it, test it live, and optimize it along the way, including materials and textures. On the other hand, in my opinion, Vray is the best professional rendering engine for architectural visualization, especially for still images. With this new Vray Enscape compatibility, we can now use the scenes from Enscape and render them in Vray. This means that now we can have a seamless workflow between designers and architects for testing the design options in Enscape and then pushing the final design to visualization experts who will create the final high-quality images with Vray. If you're an architect and you're looking to quickly learn Rhino and Grasshopper, we have a completely free training on our website that's going to help you discover and learn the core principles of Rhino, the basic logic behind Grasshopper, and you'll find out what these tools are capable of in architecture. Go check it out, the link is in the description.